Welcome, all the non-viewers out there, because I ain't getting too many views. But anywho, that's fine with me. I'm just trying to do God's will here, share some testimonies, because, let's be quite frank, that's what the Bible is, testimonies of God moving in our lives. And I give him the praise today. He's moved quite a few things in my life, and the testimony I'm going to give today is how he built a house for me. Yep. I am currently living in, well, soon to be, I just put an addition on, actually, or I should say God, with the grace of God, he put an addition on. I'll be in a 6-bedroom house, which is pretty crazy. It's nothing fancy. Actually, this floor here I'm on, I don't even have carpet, it's still plywood. And the addition, obviously is plywood, but a little bit at a time, God provides. And I would have never have started this because I didn't have enough money for the foundation, let alone the blocks and everything else when I started this. But it was because of God putting a penny in my hand. At the same time, I had the thought I didn't have enough money for that. Is why I started building it. But the story behind that, I was getting ready to can some tomatoes. Yes, I like canning tomatoes. Unfortunately, I only didn't do that many this year. It's pretty busy. But I had a sink full of tomatoes, and I was washing them off in the sink. You're washing the tomatoes in the sink, and I was putting them in the other. I had a double sink. Had the water running underneath the sink, washing them off. The sink was full of water and tomatoes. I'm sitting there running them underneath the water, just washing them off, putting them in the other side of the sink, washing them off. Just thinking to myself at this time, I was living in my house trailer, a little 10 by 60 house trailer that was very cold in the winter times. And I was looking out that window, I was washing tomatoes. I was like, man, it sure be nice to have a house kind of towards a skew, sitting on a skew towards the road, because I live at a corner. And I like to have a face in the corner, sitting on a skew a little bit. And I was like, man, I don't even have enough money for the foundation. And as soon as I had that thought, I looked down, and there was a penny stuck to my hand. Now, keep in mind, like, I'm washing tomatoes, putting them in the other sink, washing tomatoes, under running water, which is, a sign of Jesus, his life, one running water. Putting them in the other sink, and as soon as I had the thought I wasn't going to have enough money, I looked down, there was a penny stuck to my palm right there. And I'm like, what? I just took the penny, kind of looked at it a little bit, and I just set it on the edge of the sink, and I was like, all right, that's good enough for today. Because God was already giving me quite a few signs at that time, and like I said before, I was going through, at that time, this has been about 15 years ago, 16 years ago, that's when I started my sobriety. And God gave me a lot of signs at that time. But I woke up the next morning, and I was like, what the heck, I'm going to look at that penny, and I was looking at the penny, and it almost looked like it had little chips on it. And I was like, what? I had the thought, God, you telling me the money's going to be there? I said, okay. And I had an old backhoe. The thing barely ran, but I started digging a footer out, a 30 by 40. I was just going to build a 30 by 40, and my main goal is to have a well-insulated house, something that'd be warm in the winter. And I had a pile of wood in the center of that house, big logs, because I used to burn wood in my trailer too. And the guy that used to do my taxes back then, was borrowing my wood splitter, and I called him up and asked him if he was done with it. And he was done. I was like, can you bring it over? I got some wood I got to get split up. And he's like, yeah, I'll bring it over. And he was backing it up, towards the wood pile. Because it was big logs. I didn't want to have to move them again. I'd rather just split it and be done. And he backed it up, and he seen how I was digging. Had the backhoe bucket in the ground. He was like, well, what are you digging? What you got going on here? I was like, well, I'm going to build a house. He starts laughing a little bit. Now, keep in mind, he did my taxes. He's seen what I made. I didn't make that much back then. And he's like, sometimes I think you're crazy. And I was like, well, you might not be far off. We both just laughed. And you know what? It was probably about from that time, 2 years fast forward from that time, I had the 30 by 40 built, and I was living in the downstairs. It was a lot of work. I actually tore down old got the wood from the old barns and built it. And as far as the foundation, I someone owed me some money for the footer. Wasn't they owed me a little more, and I was like, hey, just pay me this much, and we'll call it even. So they paid me that much. It was enough to pay for the concrete for the footer, and after I got the footer laid, I just went and bought a pallet of block at a time. When I got I got it from 89 cents a piece, and the 75 block come on a pallet, so it was like roughly $70 per pallet. And I'd lay that pallet. When I run out, I'd go buy another pallet and lay that. And next thing you know, I had the foundation done. But by the grace of God, now 15, 16 years fast forward, I got a 6-bedroom house. It's just hand your life over to Him, and He'll provide. I ain't gonna say life's gonna be easy, because life's not gonna be easy. But you got to trust in Him. A big thing for me was my drinking and drug use. I had to stop that. To show him I was serious. I needed a change. But ever since then, He's been fulfilling and providing and being merciful during my sinful times as well. But that's the testimony for today. I hope everybody had a good Christmas, and God bless.